Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be unboxing this Sentro Knitting Machine that I got. I love the packaging, it's so lovely. So it comes with 4 chunky yarns in different sizes. I think this is the big size and these are the smaller sizes. So these are called pillars. It also comes with a screwdriver to screw the nuts. We have 4 nuts here. This transparent stuff is called suction. Then we have crochet hook, 3 different sizes of darning needles, the tension lever. So these are the parts of the knitting machine. This is the handle and this is the row counter, and this is your mode switch. You can either switch to the panel mode or the tube knitting. So this P represents panel knitting and this T represents tube knitting. Panel knitting is when you're working in rows, while this tube knitting is when you're working in rounds. Like for example, if you are making a beanie or hats, yeah, that's when you use your tube knitting. But for this panel is when you're making like a square, a rectangle project, like a sweater. And this right here is your yarn guide. To set up this knitting machine, get a flat table to place your machine on. Attach your pillars in your machine. You will see this part right here. This is where you attach your pillar. Okay, and you hold it in place with your nut. Take your screwdriver and tighten it. So do the same thing for all the pillars. Pass your suction through this hole. So to indicate the starting point, there is a white hook. Okay, this is the white hook. This white hook represents the end point. Yeah, there are numbers on your hooks, and this white hook falls on number 48. The next hook is your number 1, followed by number 2, 3, like so on. If you are working in panel knitting mode, number 1 to number 2 does not count. It starts knitting from number 3. Okay, but if you are working on your tube knitting, it starts from number 1. So for our tension lever, we have 3 different sizes here. This is the big size, the middle or intermediate, and then the small size. This fits a chunky yarn. If you're working on a chunky yarn, you can use this size, and then a less chunky yarn, and then a light-weighted yarn. So just test your yarn before working on your knitting machine, because so that you can know the actual yarn that fits with the project you're working on. Because if you use a thin or a lightweight yarn on this size, on this tension right here, your work is going to be loose and you discover that stitches will be dropping on your knitting machine. In fact, you won't like the work at all. But if you are using the right tension, you have no problem with your project. So try and test out the right yarn to use when working on your knitting machine. This is a sample of the yarn that comes with the knitting machine, and this fits the big tension. So you can see that it fits perfectly into the tension lever. Now let's compare it to this hole. You see that it's too tight. It's not as if it won't knit. It will definitely knit, but you will find your stitches tight. I'll be picking my yarn from the middle and then I'll place it on the floor. I'll be using the tube knitting mode because I'm working in rounds. We want to make a beanie. Before you start, take your counter back to 0. This is how to cast on your knitting machine. Starting from the first hook here, I'll be moving my knitting machine. This movement is the same as cranking. Okay, so crank your knitting machine and place your working yarn to the back of the second hook, then to the front, then you pass it to the back. You do this while cranking, while holding your handle. So you use your handle to crank. You do this all the way, passing your yarn to the front and also to the back. Do it slowly so you won't make a mistake. So I've gotten to the end of the hook. You know, the white is the end of the hook. So place your yarn into your yarn guide. You can see here that your yarn is not rightly placed into the yarn guide, so make sure you do that. Okay, and pass it into the tension lever. Hold your knitting machine and keep knitting. There's a sound now. That means we've ended the second round, and then you have 2 on your row counter. Keep working in rounds and check for any dropped stitches. So I exhausted my yarn at 29, so I'm going to add the next color. The simplest way to change color is to tie it. Don't pass the knot into your tension lever. So once the new color is added, you can now take it back. So continue cranking your project, continue knitting in rounds. So I'm going to exhaust all the colors that came with this knitting machine, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Then you can now proceed to casting off. So I'll be bringing in the next color. You can see that this yarn is not the same size as previous yarn, so just make a knot. So guys, I'll be stopping at 120. I'm at 113. I'm going to knit 7 more rounds. So I'm going to cut off my yarn now. I'm going to leave extra inches. Hold your working yarn and crank to release the yarns on all the hooks. Pass your yarn into the darning needle. So now insert your darning needles into the loop on the knitting machine. One just fell off, so I'm going to, oops, 2 actually fell off. So now start picking start picking the loops. Start picking the loops on your knitting machine and crank along. Pick all the loops on your crochet hook. Pass your darning needle through all the loops. This helps to tighten and close up the middle parts of your beanie. Ensure it is thoroughly closed. Okay, so now that it is all closed, place your darning needle aside and fold your beanie into two. Bring out this part. Your darning needle is inside, right? So pass it out. So we'll be picking all the loops just like we did for the other side, but you know we did that on the knitting machine. So now tighten it together and you sew it. You close it up. After doing that, take the two together to ensure both the outer and the inner part is tightly secured. So you take it in and out. So we'll go round, just go round like this. Take it in and out. Then when you're done, take your crochet hook and weave in your ends. Cut off excess yarn and weave in your ends again. So this is what we have. There's no in, there's no out because it's reversible. So let me show you what the other side looks like. Look at how beautiful it looks. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. If this video has been helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorials like this, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.